We'll start the session now.
Yeah.
We'll just see the CSS today, and Monday we'll start the Django part directly. What is CSS?
Cascading.
Cascading Style Sheet. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet, and it is not a language. It just only applies styles on HTML. Like if you see, HTML tags are there, right?
Hmm.
On those, we can apply CSS styles. That's so here CSS contains some properties, which is an updated version of the attributes in the HTML. The first thing in HTML we have attributes; those are limited, and instead of having limited features, we want more styles, right? So for that, they have introduced this CSS. So here, CSS was developed in the year 1996. Okay. So next thing, what are the advantages of CSS? Like suppose in HTML, if I write a body tag, I need to mention the BG color, whatever I want to have, you can have it. And if I'm writing another tag like table, and in this also I can mention the BG color. So what's happening here? Both the tags has the same attribute, but I'm writing it different number of times. So in the entire HTML page, if I have several tags, in those tags, if I'm using the same attributes, like repetition is doing, it's a time taking process. Like more work we have to do, complex things. This is the main drawback of HTML. Whereas here, what CSS does, instead of having giving it separately, we can give it in a single particular style also. So how to give that and how it applies for the multiple things we can see. Okay. For that we have different types of style sheets directly. So how to use this thing? What is the syntax we generally in this? Syntax will be nothing but in HTML we used to say attribute value, but now we'll say property colon value. So based on the property, you can give the value directly. You can see. Okay. So now, first thing, how the style sheets can be applied. What are the different ways of applying the style sheets? The property values can give for different ways. You can say. So first thing we have inline style sheet, and second is internal style sheet, and third is external style sheet. So inline is same as what we see like style attribute. It's a declaration of the style attribute directly inside the tag itself, like similar to the body BG color. That's the inline thing. So attribute value will be there, right? The same way in a single tag we can give the inline style sheet. What do you mean by internal style sheet? So in style sheet, we have a tag known as style. If you write the HTML, inside that we write the head tag, right? In the head tag, we need to write a particular thing known as style. Close the style. And here you can specify the particular CSS selectors and properties. So whatever the properties you want, you can have it. For multiple tags, you can have the same thing also. Okay, that's a internal style sheet. Okay, in the head tag only we can write it. We cannot write it outside it. Inline means before the tag itself, like in the tag itself, I can directly write that particular thing. Tag style I use in that property value. And if you want, you can write multiple things directly by using the semicolon. Semicolon means the end of the particular thing, right? Anywhere. So here also style property. Again, you want to give any property, you can give it directly. Okay. So this is inline and this is internal. And now we have external. So what do you mean by external style sheet? If you want to have the same styles for multiple pages, this internal style sheet will work on only one HTML page, right? But I want to have the same styles working for multiple, like login, registration, home page. For 3 pages, I want to have the same styles. Then I can use this external style sheet. And if you observe in the websites in the present industry, all those will have external style sheet only, because for multiple pages they want the same styles to be applied. Homepage, login, registration, everything should be similar format or similar thing. So here, how to access this particular, we'll write a particular style.css, anything you can say. A CSS file will be written, and that I have to include in this particular head tag. How to include that? Directly I'll say link and the h reference, the file name dot css. So what is this? This is a style sheet. I'm specifying that. And what's the type? Type is text by CSS. So it's a CSS type, you can say. So in this way, we can have different styles. Okay. Is this thing clear what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, Ravi.
Yeah.
Let's see a different example. Like examples, if you see it will be clear. Like I already have these things, so I'm just showing you them. What I'm trying to do is I'm writing two tags. One is h1, which has inline style sheet, and I'm writing the style, the color, the text are in the center, the border is double, the background is purple, width is 300 px, padding is 330 px, border radius. So we have different properties. Okay. Now, if I see these different properties, you have written it for the single tag. Again, if I want for the same in another tag, I have to write it again. So this inline is similar to what we have used in the HTML, right? Like for every tag you need to write the attribute itself. Let's execute this thing. What you're getting this information. I'll just run this thing.
So this is HTML. What you are showing? This is HTML.
HTML only. In that HTML, I'm applying some styles, attributes.
Okay.
Like we
Okay.
have more properties in this CSS rather than the HTML. If you just see what I'm saying, text align should be center. The color is what we are trying to give it here. The background is purple. The width is 300. The padding. Yesterday we have seen the padding also, right? Now the border radius is there, and the background clip padding box. If I remove this, what happens? So here you can see the space, white space which is there, it's gone. And the border radius I am seeing, I'm just removing that also. So the border radius, if we go remove that, it's coming in the rectangle format, right? And when I say the border radius is 100 pxe and 0, it's pixels like px, the values if you want to give. So here what is happening? 100, it will move that curve. That's the reason we are having it. Okay. So here just these properties will be there in the CSS and we are using them in a single style sheet, inline style sheet you can say. Suppose instead of having them separately, what I can do, I can write a style tag here, mention the h1 and keep the entire thing inside that directly. Let's see internal CSS. So what I've done, I've written h1, h2, h3, right? And for three things, I'm having a particular properties. That's the CSS properties. So I've written inside the head, and the head contains a style. That style has this h1, h2, and h3. So here I've just written Digital India, Digital India, Digital India. So h1, h2, and h3. What will happen now? For the three things, the same properties will be applied.
Yeah.
Right?
Can you control the size with CSS? Because H1, H2, H3, when you have various size, right? So size can be controlled. Font size, I mean.
No. Size is not getting control. See here, H1, the first thing is having big size.
Yeah. I'm saying will not be controlled, or will it has a ability to control by CSS.
We can have the font tag again. If you want to increase, you can have the font tag.
Okay.
If you want to control the size, then why to give H1? You can have the font itself, right?
Yeah.
So this is what you can say. It's directly internal CSS. So which is better? Internal CSS is little better compared with the inline CSS, right?
Yes.
And if you just remove this thing here, just giving a name, and if you want, you can have one more tag and access it. So it's up to us how many tags you want to have the same thing. Okay. So next thing, as we know that we have some different properties. Along with the properties, this H1, H2, H3 are known as selectors here. So here what I can say, there are types of selectors. Single selector means I'm just giving it to one. If I just give it to one, it's a single selector. It's a single thing we can apply it. If I give it to multiple things, then it's a group or the multi-line selector. Okay, and here group selector is better when you have these things like directly accessing those things, and universal selector is there. So what is universal selector? Instead of giving H1, H2, H3 directly star, so here we have three, H1, H2 and H3. The star, if you give, what will happen? It will be applied to all this entire thing. Entire body is getting applied. The background is purple, and whatever the border radius is there, that is also getting applied for these things, body also. Okay, so this is what you can say universal selector. So mostly universal selectors are given rarely, because few things only we take it as universal. And next we have child selector. So what is child selector means? Like you have seen the ordered list, unordered list, right? Yesterday, like in the OL, I have this LI, right?
Yes, yes.
So if you want to apply for both the things, what I can do in the style sheet, I can say OL greater than LI. So we use this greater than symbol to indicate the parent and the child. Okay. And we have one more thing known as descendant selector. Descendant selector is nothing but like in this LI, again I have AH reference equals to some URL. Then close that text. So what's happening here? OL, LI is the parent and child, right? If you want to have descendant, directly what I will say, with the space I'll differentiate like OL, LI, A. And whatever the things I want, I can write it. Everything will be written inside the flower bracket itself. That's a set. To indicate the set, we use this particular flower bracket. Okay. And we have a separate thing known as ID selector. So how ID selector works means, so you have seen that single selector, group selector, universal selector, parent and child selector, and descendant selector. And we are now seeing the ID selector. ID selector is nothing but, if suppose I want to apply same features but few things might be different, or different features for different tags. Okay, like I have H1 and I have again H1. This is hello and this is bye. So there are two things, right? For hello, I want separate particular properties, and for H1 bye, again I want to have separate properties with different styles. Then what I can do, I can give an ID name. So ID name can be anything. It's up to us. Some X also you can give. Some Y also you can give. And if you want to select them in the style sheets, directly we specify with hash X. To X, apply these particular styles, we can say. So this is known as what? ID selector. Okay? By using hash, we represent that particular thing. And the tag, we can write the ID directly. Okay? And we have a class selector also. Like directly, instead of having ID, you can have a class, and to represent the class, we use the dot. And whatever the name you have used, class name. Then the flower brackets. Like suppose here H1, it's a class. So for the ID we use hash, for the class we use the dot. Okay. So next, we'll see an example of these things. It will be easy. CSS selectors. First is element selector. We have already seen it. Internal and external. Did we see the external example?
No, only internal division.
I didn't show the external. External is nothing but we have a folder, in that we write the style.css. If you open this, H1, H2 we have applied. Okay. So this is, we have written a file known as style.css. Now what I'm trying to do, in the about.html, just have linked it, about us page, home page, just have linked that particular style. There's a home page, that's the about us page. So multiple pages having the same thing, right?
Yes.
That is CSS. Like in a file you write it, you can access it in multiple pages. It's a main important thing. Like in the websites, we use these things only, external style sheets. And we have CSS selectors. So what is element selector means? Directly we give H2, H1, H3. For different tags, if you want to have different colors, we can have it. And for the paragraph, we can have the different properties again. So H1, H2, and H3. Okay. So save this thing. Run this part. So example of element selector we are seeing. Okay. And as we have given the same color, if you want to have, like say I'm saying wheat. It's a wheat color, it has changed, right? Now instead of writing this same things again and again, why don't we mix them using the group selector? So group selector will be there, where we'll just have body and the group or the multi selector H1, H2, H3, just the color whatever we are giving. Okay, that will be taken. So if I run this part, what I got, example, everything is same. And whatever that paragraph background color we have given is applied. And the paragraph, for 3 paragraphs, it's been applied. Okay. So it's a group or the multi-selector, you can see. H1, H2, H3 are being used and all. And next we have universal selector. So what is universal selector means? Like for everything it will apply instead of writing the names. Like if I open this thing. So they've taken this margin and padding for H1 and H3 in the star part. Okay. So these are the styles they are trying to apply. Margin and padding and particular required things. So this is universal. If you are just giving the star, it indicates the universal thing. And next, after universal, we have child selector. Child in the sense ULLI or OLLI, like that. So we'll take ULLI. I'm just saying color green. So in this LI things, the color should be changed to green. It's changing, right? So that's a thing you can say. Here again we have OLLI. So but OLLI it's not getting applied because I've given for UL greater than LI, to that only you apply. If I just remove this UL now, okay, and run this part, I got the color for both. Like I'll just say a red. For LI means it will apply for all LIs. But I don't want to all LIs the same color. I want to have different colors. Then what we can give? We can give the parent and the child. Like if I give OL greater than LI, what will happen? That's the thing. So it's coming to the OL itself, not the LI. Next, after this, after the child selector, are you able to follow this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Not easy, but I could.
The thing is, the properties are not limited. There are lots of properties. You cannot by heart them. You just have to
Yes.
apply the style like what you want. Just search for it and you get the property. Just keep the date here. Okay. So next thing will be the descendant selector, like UL, LI, and then the AH reference you can see. So what I'm trying to do, I'm having UL and OL, and for the UL, LI, and A, I'm just saying red. Okay, or the UL of A, I'm just saying it as red. So only for that it's showing the red, right? And if it give a nod, that will be in the blue thing actually. Okay. AH reference by default color will be blue. So here UL, LI, and A I'm just having. So it's the same thing, like you can have UL, LI, and A, or the ULF A. Okay.
Okay.
So this is known as what? Descendant selector, you can say. Next, after this, we have child selector. Where were we? Child selector is an ID selector. for the ID selector, we'll have the same thing. So here, what you have H1 ID, H2 ID, H3 ID, right?
Mhm.
If you just run this part, example of element selector, different things. If you take here H3 is there and here H3 is there. For this H3, I'm just giving the ID as H3, and for this H3 I'm giving it as AB. So for H3 and AB, there are two different colors, red and green. So for the same tag, you can see different particular colors. One is red, one is green. How it is possible? Only with the ID selector. ID selector, we can make it happen. Okay. In the website, if you have same tags and you want to have different properties for those particular same tag, then we can use this particular ID selector. I'll send this example everything. Just have to open it, change those things, what you understood. Then it will be easy for you. Then we have class selector. The same thing, like if I open it, H1, H2, H3. What I've given H1, H2, and H3. And for H4 also, I'm giving the H1 properties. So what is the output you can say? The H1 properties are being applied for the H4 also. So that's the advantage with the class selector. Okay. So these things, like having different properties for the tags, we can do it using the ID selector and the class selector. Next we have attribute selector also, pseudo selector, selector with class name. These are like not that important, but ID, class, descendant, child, these all things are very important. Okay. I'll send you the particular examples, this entire thing, and the notes related to it. So mostly the properties are also there, like what properties? For border, how many properties you can use? Like I have opened this. So for background color, image, repeat, position, attachment. This is a background property. So properties are nothing but what are the different properties are there. If you want to check it, then you can use these things. So this is a background property. For background, you can take an image or anything or the text. Okay. So these all apply for the properties part. Previously, what we have seen are the selector part. The selector contains the properties. What are background, what are border properties, what are outline, font properties, list properties, text, dimension, margin, padding, pseudo properties, classification properties. If you want, you can go through all those things. Okay. So I'll mail you this file, entire examples file. Just execute them, and if you want to modify some values, just try to modify. You don't have to develop the CSS. You need to understand,
Okay.
because in any website you can see this CSS style sheets directly. Like I've opened a particular website here. Here it indicates .jsp, means it's a Java developed thing. And right click view page source. If you click on the page source, HTML, meta, script, link. This is what link, style sheet link. So where this style sheet has been taken. And the tag attributes will be there. You can go down. So we have div. I guess the div span tags. Li class tag. So we have seen the class, right? Mostly class are being shown. I guess here these things are there, like selectors. Pseudo selector is there, I guess. Just what sort of thing? This is also not there. So this div tag is nothing but division. You're dividing the page into block of different styles. That is a division part you can see. Okay. So mostly class is being used here. ID is being used. And class and ID both we can use in the same thing and can have different particular properties for that. Okay. So I'll send the examples, you practice this thing, and from Monday we can start the Django, right?
We must know CSS and HTML for legal. So that we can learn.
The thing is, Django we can do it only with HTML also. But if you want to understand CSS, because the CSS is also part of front end, right?
No, I'm just asking. Okay.
Yeah, if you go through, it's better. Like you can apply some style. If the website looks good, it's interesting, right? To do the projects also. First, we'll see the registration. Before that, the theoretical part will be there. What is MVC? What is MVP? And we have DTL, Django Template Language. Again, what are the things we use there? That also we have to see. So first we'll go theoretically, then we'll create a project where registration will be done. We'll write a HTML part, take the values from the HTML and store it in the database. Those things also will do. Okay.
Okay. So you need your email ID?
Yeah, text the mail ID in this group. I'll send you for 3 of you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So that's it for today. We'll meet on Monday then. Okay.